Hello, everybody. My name is Elisa Bernstein.
And I'm Stephen Leckie.
And this is Vox Speaker Tips, particularly for speaking online. Today, what we're going to do is a check-in for setup. How are we doing with the whole setup? How you set yourself up with background, with lighting, with camera level. We've been working hard at this for the past few months. How are we doing, and can we do better?
Obviously, what we're dealing with is the need to reach the audience, reach your audience. And so it's presentational skills that we're most interested in.
Let's get started then with background. Background. How are we doing with background? I think there's been a lot of improvement here. Before the pandemic, I saw a lot of blank walls, I saw clutter, I saw dirty dishes, I saw unmade beds, but I think we have really stepped up here. And I think people are getting creative. So I'd say pretty good work on the background.
Of course, there's always room for improvement, and we need to look at these areas for improvement. Background is one thing, but what does the background do in terms of supporting you or detracting from your message? Having watched, I think we're all watching endlessly videos and Zoom conferences and commentators from home, and we get to see a lot of backgrounds. There's still room for improvement in the area of angles and depth. Don't get things up too close and tight. Don't have too many things on those shelves. And get some angles going. Have some angles so that you have that sense of foreshortening in the background and that you are the focal point.
Let's go on to lighting now. A lot of improvement since the pandemic. I think people are more aware that they do need to be well lit. A lot of people have discovered the front-facing window. I don't see as many windows in the background anymore. People are buying lights, cheap lights, and making sure that they're well lit. So overall, definitely much better. Where can we improve though?
Well, again, we're talking presentation now. We are presentation coaches, and we want to bring our viewers and our audience to the point where they feel that they're having a normal conversation with you on camera. Facial expression is a huge part of that. So obviously the lighting becomes more and more important. Continue to look at your lighting. Make sure that you are well lit. Make sure your expression is clear and tied in with the previous subject, the background, so that you are actually in focus and you are the center of this presentation. Continue also to be careful of shadows. Very important that we see your eyes and we see your expression. All the more important on camera.
And I will add that whenever people are giving an interview or on a Zoom call at night, then we really start to fall short. So make sure you're set up for an evening call as well. Next, let's look at positioning the camera. Now, in terms of frame, which is what is the camera actually taking in, I think people have done very well in this. I don't see so many full body shots or full torso with the head becoming small. And I don't see a lot of just heads where it looks like you don't have a body. People are getting a nice head and shoulders or head and part of the torso. So good job with frame.
Big area that needs to improve still. We still see major errors being made here. Camera level. Where the camera is level. Try to get it level with your eyes. If the camera is above your eyes, then it looks like you're in a hole and you're fighting to get out, trapped in an elevator, yelling for help. If the camera is below, then you're getting the infamous up the nostril shot, lots of pouches, lots of shadows on your face. Not good for your lighting, which we just talked about. So all these things interact. So work on that camera level and get something level.
We are seeing so many cameras that are too low because most people are on their phone or their laptop. And if you don't prop it up, you are looking down at us.
It takes a little bit of work. The tripods, the desks, the tables, they may not be at the right height. So you've got books. Remember your bookcase in your background? Take some of those books and pile them under your camera.
Let's take a look at some examples of what we're talking about.
Wow.
This is a great example because it's such an extreme contrast.
Yeah. Look at, first of all, background. Seth Meyers, great background, really. He's got angles, he's got depth. And Jim Gaffigan, wow, what's going on there?
You got the blank wall and then that crazy light or whatever it is sticking out of his head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the lighting itself is very weak.
If you have a light, then try to put it in front of you, not coming out of the back of your head. Of course, the television studio approach has been taken home with Seth Meyers, so he has the skill and he has the support. So it's a little bit unfair here to compare the two. But I think we can do a lot more at home, don't you?
I absolutely do. And just look at the impact it has.
Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, Jim Gaffigan's a riot, but it's really hard to get the full package here because lighting, shadows on his face, lighting coming from the wrong direction, very strange, oppressive presence, too close, perhaps. I think his frame is a bit too close, don't you?
Yeah, what about camera level? You actually see two of the extremes that we want to avoid. Seth Meyers, the camera is actually above him, so he looks like he's trying to escape from a well. And then with Jim Gaffigan, the camera is the typical below him. He's on his laptop, he's on his phone, and then we get the up the nostril shot.
Yeah, and the shadows and the general oppressive presence, fleshy, oppressive face in the camera. So it's not effective.
Now, here's my favorite example of what can go wrong with your background. This is bookcases gone mad.
New rule, only put books in the bookcase that you've read. Yeah. That should reduce the number of books.
Careful what you say. They look like they are pretty big readers. We have the problem here about the depth, especially depth and clutter. We like bookcases, but too many books, too cluttered, too close to you, makes you look overwhelmed.
These examples are a good illustration of angles and depth as well, don't you find?
Yeah. Well, I love the angle with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, beautifully
I love
worked
that.
out.
Yeah.
And beautifully worked out.
Yeah, and if you're flat against your background, not flattering. I mean, it literally looks like we should be focusing on your books, not on you.
It's oppressive. It's oppressive. There's that word again. And again, we need to get that feeling of inviting the watcher, your audience, to come and listen to you and to interact with you. And it's just too much activity around these people.
You know, that's a good point. Don't just design a background and don't just throw things in that you've seen others do. Think, are you inviting the viewer to listen to you, to receive who you are and your words and your expression?
And your uniqueness. So again, we're seeing a lot of bookcases now too. It's ironic because earlier on we were excited about bookcases, but now everyone's just emulating everybody else. Again, your goal is not to become everybody else. Your goal is to use these tips to try to find who you are on camera and who you are eventually as a presenter.
So that's it for our video on setup, our check-in.
Congratulations on what you've accomplished, but continue to improve. Remember, we may be working online for a good long period right now, and it's also going to be part of our culture now. So this is worthwhile to work on this presentation and work on your setup, background lighting, work on these things until you've got it down to a fine art.
So thank you for joining us, and make sure to check out our other videos on online speaking.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.